Billy has been training horses his whole life. Normally, he sells them for a steep profit. However, the horse he had been training for the past couple of months showed so much potential that Billy entered a competition with him. Disaster struck when the jury saw the horse. Billy should have never entered a competition with this horse. But before we start our story, smash the like button. Make sure to subscribe and hit the notifications bell so you won't miss any new stories. When a member of the jury saw the horse entering the terrain, he immediately went up to Billy. He told him that his horse had to get a blood test before being able to enter the race. Billy knew that this wasn't a usual occurrence, but he couldn't refuse it. Billy reluctantly went to the vet. 10 minutes after taking the blood sample, the vet came back with the head of the jury. His horse wasn't with them. Before he can even question where he was, the vet informed him that he had just called the police and that they were on their way. Billy was heartbroken and in disbelief. The head of the jury told Billy that this horse should have never entered a competition. He asked Billy what he had done to the poor animal. Billy was in total shock. He had only trained the animal. Or was it his new trainer that had done something illegal? When the police finally arrived, they immediately started asking Billy questions. Billy was shell-shocked. What did he do wrong? They informed Billy that his horse was in surgery at the moment and that they hoped he would get out alive. They demanded answers. Billy answered questions about himself and the horse that he had owned for about a year now. When he was done with answering all the questions, he heard disbelief from the surgery room. "I can't believe this," said the vet. But what did the vet find inside the horse that he was so incredibly surprised by? Before Billy can even figure out what is going on, he gets escorted from the terrain by the police. Hit gets threaded like a criminal, and he did not even know what is even happening. Everyone is staring at him, pointing fingers. Billy is ashamed. When he gets thrown into the police car, he asks one of the officers if his horse is all right. Billy is extremely worried. The officers tells him to be quiet. The poor animal is in surgery and has a chance to not make it out. Billy begins to sob. He cares a lot for the animal. Billy demands the officers to take him back to the veterinarian. They tell him he has some serious balls, demanding that from police officers. He is being taken to the nearest police station to be questioned. Questioned about what? The 10-minute drive took forever for Billy. His thoughts are constantly with his horse Shadow. He still doesn't fully realize the trouble he is currently in. However, when Billy gets put into the interrogation room, everything seemed extra serious. The officers told him he had some minutes to think while they checked with the vet if his horse is still alive. After that, the questioning will begin. Billy felt his heart sink. His horse was apparently in a life-threatening situation, and he couldn't be there. After the time had passed, the officers came back. They ensured Billy that his horse was still barely hanging on and that he needs to answer all of their questions to make sure the horse survives. Then it hit Billy. He had to cooperate as best as he could, even if he was innocent. Billy explained to the police officers that he had been training this horse for just about a year. Billy really wanted a strong horse he could train to enter races with. He came across this horse and immediately knew he had the best horse to win every race with. The officers demanded to where he got the horse in the first place. Billy started telling the whole story. His old horse and best friend had just died. His wife Erica saw how much it affected Billy. Billy felt like the whole world was against him at that very moment. Then one day his attitude changed. That is when all the trouble began. Desperate men do desperate things, and so did Billy. After the death of his old horse, he immediately wanted a new one, as fast as he could so he could forget about all the pain and suffering. That is when he started to cut corners, like trusting the wrong people. The officers urged him to hurry up with the story. If Billy wasn't the one that caused the horse so much pain and suffering, they had to know who was responsible for this horse. Billy could only think of two people who could cause this. Billy's first instinct was the animal shelter they got the horse from. The owners were a little shady. The horse was already pretty strong, but not as muscular as he was at the moment. The police captain got a little irritated. He demanded more information. Billy told them that he came across the horse breeders online. There were two breeders present. The first breeder gave off the wrong vibe from the start. Although the horses were strong and Billy wanted to win races, he did not trust the guy. However, the second seemed genuine. This second breeder, Mark, had 2 Shires ready to be sold. The Shire looked stronger than most of the horses, Billy knew immediately. With the right training, he could win every single race. Billy recalled that he did ask the breeder how this horse got so strong. However, Mark evaded the question. In hindsight, this of course seemed a little shady, but the horse was muscular. He had beautiful dark brown eyes, and Billy did not hesitate for a second. It was unlike any horse that Billy had seen in his life. He had to get this one. The police needed to get more information on this Mark. To determine the sale of the horse, they needed to get the paperwork for the horse. However, Billy explained that Mark would email the paperwork later. This was already months ago. Billy had already forgotten about it. He had not even provided any identification. The police decided that for now, they would trust Billy and that they would look for this Mark. They had a suspicion Billy was still hiding some key information, but they would go for the breeder angle first. Maybe this will lead to more valuable information. Billy pointed out that he had gotten the horse from a person named Mark Ramos. When searching the police database, they got a hit. This Mark Ramos was a licensed breeder. He was called in for questioning. Eventually, everything was cleared up with the breeder when he came in with the right papers for the horse. He provided everything that he needed to clear himself most of all. Mark even provided the police with blood samples from before the sale. So they turned to Billy again. These samples made sure that Mark would be let go. Now they turned once again to Billy. He had some explaining to do. Billy was sick to his stomach, but he now had an idea who had probably gotten him into this trouble. His horse trainer. Immediately after Billy got the horse, Billy started to look for a new trainer to train his new prized possession. This David told Billy that he would be able to get the horse ready for competition in no time. Billy started to wonder if this was the right decision, but went along anyway. What was even more shady is that every time the trainer came to the Billy's range, Billy could not watch him train with the horse. However, Billy saw that the horse got stronger with every week. The horse grew very muscular, and Billy knew he could win every race he wanted. His ambition blinded him. The officers thought Billy was going crazy. He must have made this man up. The police captain overheard the whole conversation and decided to let Billy describe this David for a drawing so that they could help him calm down. Billy told in detail what David looked like. Eventually, after about an hour, they were ready to show the drawing to the police captain. The officers that were questioning Billy weren't convinced, but they were told to cooperate. They made sure the drawing was scanned in so that they could match it with possible known people in the police database. This process would only take a second. Billy was on the edge of his seat. Then out of nowhere, they got a potential hit. The identity check was ready. The police captain was lost for words. He did not tell anyone what was going on. He told the officers to follow him and place Billy in a holding cell. Billy couldn't resist, otherwise he would be charged with obstruction of justice. He started crying. He just wanted to go home. All these years of hard work, and now Billy was being held in a cell for a crime he knew he didn't commit. The police captain's pale face and cryptic behavior after reviewing the results only deepened his confusion. Did they find David? Billy used his phone call to reach his wife, Erica. What he heard shocked him. His horse was making headlines. If the real culprit wasn't caught, Billy's troubles were only beginning. Hours later, the police captain returned, leading Billy to another room. Through a one-way mirror, Billy saw a lineup of 5 men. The captain asked him to identify the one who trained his horse. Billy immediately recognized his former trainer, number 4, though the captain warned him not to celebrate just yet. The man denied involvement, claiming to be someone else, but a background check revealed he was Michael, a criminal with a history of medical fraud. The police secured a warrant to search Michael's home, uncovering illegal substances, mistreated animals, and an enormous snake in his living room. An officer explained that Michael had a pattern of testing experimental treatments on animals. Though Billy was cleared of charges, they still didn't know what had happened to his horse. Desperate for answers, Billy convinced the officers to let him visit his horse at the veterinary office, where the animal was undergoing surgery. Upon arrival, the receptionist reassured Billy that his horse was alive. Moments later, a loud noise came from the surgery room. The vet emerged holding a strange object, a microchip. The chip, discovered during an ultrasound, was linked to Michael. It sent electrical surges during races and was accompanied by a performance-enhancing substance found in the horse's blood. These illegal modifications were part of a scheme to create and track elite racehorses, eventually stealing them for profit. The police used the chip to trace Michael's operation and dismantled the criminal network. Meanwhile, Billy decided never to compete again. He kept his horse, cherishing their time together with his family. Instead of racing, Billy shifted his focus to horse trading, ensuring his beloved companion lived a peaceful, fulfilling life.